Alright, third time's a charm, right? My ocular migraine's making it really hard to read, but I've been wanting to listen to reading, so I'm trying to give myself things to listen to. So just a reminder that our characters are Miss Alving, a widow, Oswald Alving, her son, an artist, Manders, the pastor of the parish, Ingstrad, a carpenter, and Regina Ingstrad, his daughter, who is in Miss Alving's service. Manders has just walked in. He wears an overcoat, carries an umbrella, and has a small traveling bag slung over his shoulder on a strap. Manders: "Good morning, Miss Ingstrad!" Regina, turning round with a look of pleased surprise. "Oh, Mr. Manders, good morning. The boat is in, then?" "Just in. It is most tiresome, this rain every day." "It is splendid rain for the farmers, Mr. Manders." "Yes, you are right, quite right. We townfolk think so little about that." Oh, let me help you." "That's it. Why, how wet it is." "I will hang it up in the hall. Give me your umbrella, too. I will leave it open so that it will dry." She goes out with his overcoat and his rain jacket. Umbrella. Manders lays his bag and his hat down on a chair. Regina re-enters. It's very pleasant to get indoors." "Well, is everything going on well here?" "Yes, thanks." "Properly busy, though, I expect, getting ready for tomorrow?" "Oh, yes, there's plenty to do." "And Miss Alving is at home, I hope?" "Yes, she is. She has just gone upstairs to take the young master his chocolate." "Tell me, I heard down at their pier that Oswald had come back." "Yes, he came the day before yesterday. We didn't expect him till today." "Strong and well, I hope?" "Yes, thank you. Well enough, but dreadfully tired after his journey. He came straight from Paris without a stop. I mean, he came all the way without breaking his journey. I fancy he is having a sleep now, so we must talk a little bit more quietly, if you don't mind." "All right, we will be very quiet." "Please, sit down, Mr. Manders, and make yourself at home. There, is that comfortable?" "Thank you, thank you. That is most comfortable. I'll tell you what, Miss Ingstrad, I certainly think you have grown since I saw you last." "Do you think so? Miss Alving says, too, that I have developed." "Developed? Well, perhaps a little more suitably." Shall I tell Miss Alving you are here?" "Thanks, there is no hurry, my dear child. Now tell me, Regina, my dear, how has your father been getting on here?" "Thank you, Mr. Manders. He's getting on pretty well." "He came to see me the last time he was in town." "Did he? He's always so glad when he can have a chat with you." "And I suppose you have seen him pretty regularly every day." "I? Oh, yes, I do. Whenever I have time, that is to say." "Your father has not a very strong character, Miss Ingstrad. He sadly needs a guiding hand." "Yes, I can believe that." "He needs someone with him that he can cling to, someone whose judgment he can rely on. He acknowledged that freely himself the last time he came up to see me." "Yes, he has said something of the same sort to me. But I don't know whether Miss Alving could do without me. Most of all, just now, when we have the new orphanage to see about, and I should be dreadfully unwilling to leave Miss Alving, too. She has always been so good to me." "But a daughter's duty, my good girl. Naturally, we should have to get your mistress's consent first." "Still, I don't know whether it would be quite the thing. At my age, to keep house for a single man." "What? My dear Miss Ingstrad, it is your own father we are you're speaking of. Yes, I dare say, but still, now if it were in a good house and with a real gentleman, but my dear Regina, one whom I could feel an affection for and really feel in the position of a daughter to... Come, my dear good child. I should like very much to live in town. Out here it is terribly lonely, and you know yourself, Mr. Manders, what it is to be alone in the world. And though I say it, I really am both capable and willing. Don't you know any place that would be suitable for me, Mr. Manders? I? No, indeed I don't. But, dear Mr. Manders, at any rate, don't forget me, in case... No, I won't forget you, Miss Ingstrad, because if perhaps you will be so kind as to let Miss Alving know I am here. I will fetch her at once, Mr. Manders. She goes out left. Manders walks up and down the room once or twice, stands for a moment at the farther end of the room, with his hands behind his back, and looks out into the garden. Then he comes back to the table, takes up a book, and looks at the title page, gives a start, and looks at some of the others. Really? Miss Alving comes in by the door on the left. She is followed by Regina, who goes out again at once through the nearer door on the right. Miss Alving, holding out her hand. I'm very glad to see you, Mr. Manders. How do you do, Miss Alving? Here I am as I promised. Always punctual. Indeed, I was hard put to get it I was hard put to it to get away. What with vestry meetings and committees. It was all the kinder of you to come in such good time. We can settle our business before dinner. But where is your luggage? My things are down at the village shop. I'm going to sleep there tonight. Can't I really persuade you to stay the night here this time? No. Many thanks all the same. I will put up there, as usual. It is so handy for getting on board the boat again. Of course. You shall do as you please. But it seems to me quite another thing. Now we are two old people. You will have your joke. It's natural you should be in high spirits today. First of all, there is the great event tomorrow, and also you have got Oswald home. Yes. Am I not a lucky woman? It is more than 2 years since he was home last, and he has promised to stay the whole winter with me. Has he? Really? That is very nice and filial of him, because there must be many more attractions in his life in Rome or in Paris, I should think. Yes, but he has his mother here, you see. Bless the dear boy. He has got a quarter in his heart for his mother still. Oh, it would be very sad if absence and preoccupation with such a thing as art were to dull the natural affections. It would indeed, but there is no fear of that with him. I am glad to say. I am quite curious to see if you recognize him again. He will be down directly. He is just lying down for a little on the sofa upstairs. But do sit down, my dear friend. Thank you. You are sure I'm not disturbing you? Of course not. She sits down at the table. Good. Then I will show you. He goes to the chair where his bag is lying and takes a packet of papers from it, then sits down at the opposite side of the table and looks for a clear space to put the papers down. Now, first of all, here is... Tell me, Miss Alving, what are these books doing here? These books? I'm reading them. Do you read this sort of thing? Certainly I do. Do you feel any the better or the happier for reading books of this kind? I think it makes me, as it were, more self-reliant. That is remarkable. But why? Well, they give me an explanation or a confirmation of lots of different ideas that have come into my own mind. But what surprises me, Mr. Manders, is that, properly speaking, there is nothing at all new in these books. There is nothing more in them than what most people think and believe. The only thing is that most people either take no account of it or won't admit it to themselves. But, good heavens, do you seriously think that most people... Yes, indeed I do. But not here in the country at any rate, not here amongst people like ourselves. Yes, amongst people like ourselves too. Well, really, I must say, but what is that particular objection that you have to these books? What objection? You surely don't suppose that I take any particular interest in such productions. In fact, you don't know anything about what you are denouncing. I have read quite enough about these books to disapprove of them. I have read quite enough, oh, yes, but your own opinion. My dear Miss Alving, there are many occasions in life when one has to rely on the opinion of others. That is to say, that is the way in this world, and it is quite right that it should be so. What would become of society otherwise? Well, you may be right. Apart from that, naturally, I don't deny that literature of this kind may have a considerable attraction, and I cannot blame you either for wishing to make yourself acquainted with the intellectual tendencies which I am told are at work in the wider world in which you have allowed your son to wander for so long. But one doesn't talk about it, Miss Alving. One certainly is not called upon to account to everyone for what one reads or thinks in the privacy of one's own room. Certainly not. I quite agree with you. Just think of the consideration you owe to this orphanage. When you decided to build at a time when your thoughts on such subjects were very different from what they are now, as far as I'm able to judge, yes, I freely admit that. But it was about the orphanage. It was about the orphanage. We were going to talk quite so. Well, walk warily, dear Miss Alving, and now let us turn to the business in hand. You see these? He opens an envelope and takes out some papers. The deeds? Yes, the whole lot, and everything in order. I can tell you it has been no easy matter to get them in time. I had positively to put pressure on the authorities. They are almost painfully conscientious when it is a question of settling property. But here they are at last. Here is the deed of conveyance of that part of the Rosenwald estate known as the Solvik property, together with the buildings newly erected thereon, the school, the master's house, and a chapel. And here is the legal sanction for the statutes of the institution. Here, you see, statutes for the Captain Alving Orphanage. That seems all in order. I thought Captain was the best title to use, rather than your husband's court title of Chamberlain. Captain seems less ostentatious. Yes, just as you think best. And here's the certificate for the investment of the capital in the bank. The investment, the interest being earmarked for the current expenses of the orphanage. Many thanks, but I think it will be most convenient if you will kindly take charge of them. With pleasure. I think it will be best to leave the money in the bank for the present. The interest is not very high, it is true, 4% at 6 months' call. Later on, if we can find some good mortgage, of course it must be a first mortgage and on unexceptionable security, we can consider the matter further. Yes, yes, my dear Mr. Manders. You know best about all that. I will keep my eye on it anyway, but there is one thing in connection with it that I have often meant to ask you about. What is that? Shall we insure the buildings or not? Of course we must insure them. Ah, but wait a moment, dear lady. Let us look into the matter a little more closely. Everything of mine is insured. The house and its contents, my livestock, everything. Naturally, they are your own property. I do exactly the same, of course, but this, you see, is quite a different case. The orphanage is, so to speak, dedicated to higher uses. Certainly, but as far as I'm personally concerned, I can conscientiously say that I don't see the smallest objection to our insuring ourselves against all risks. That is exactly what I think. But what about the opinion of the people hereabouts? Their opinion? Is there any considerable body of opinion here? Opinions of some account? I mean, that might take exception to it. What exactly do you mean by opinion of some account? Well, I was thinking particularly of persons of such independent and influential positions that one could hardly refuse to attach weight to their opinions. There are a certain number of such people here who might perhaps take exception to it if we were... That's just it, you see. In town, there are lots of them. All my fellow clergymen's congregations, for instance. It would be so extremely easy for them to interpret it as meaning that neither you nor I had a proper reliance on divine protection. But as far as you are concerned, my dear friend, you have, at all events, the conscientiousness that, yes, I know, my own mind is quite easy about it, it is true, but we should not be easy to prevent a wrong and injurious interpretation of our action. And that sort of thing, moreover, might very easily end in exercising a hampering influence on the work of the orphanage. Oh, well, if that is likely to be the effect of it, nor can I entirely overlook the difficult, indeed I may say painful, position I might possibly be placed in. In the best circles in town, the matter of this orphanage is attracting a great deal of attention. Indeed, the orphanage is to some extent built for the benefit of the town too, and it is to be hoped that it may result in the lowering of our poor rate by a considerable amount. But as I have been your advisor in the matter, and have taken charge of the business side of it, I should be afraid that it would be I that spiteful persons would attack first of all. Yes, you ought not to expose yourself to that. Not to mention the attacks that would undoubtedly be made upon me in certain newspapers and reviews. How much time do we have? Perfect. 1 minute. Say no more about it, dear Mr. Manders. That quite decides it. Then you don't wish to be insured? No. We will give up the idea. But suppose now that some accident happened. One can never tell. Would you be prepared to make good the damage? No. I tell you quite plainly, I would not do so under any circumstances.